So for the first time, I actually had someone who was a fan of mine reach out to me and asked me to go over their horror game that they've been working on for some time now, which is honestly it's pretty awesome. I never expected to have that opportunity to be given to me so soon by a fan of mine, so I decided to do that for this video. I wanted to go over their game that they wanted me to go over, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Select an archive. Hail to the... Oh. Three Random Archives is an indie horror game created by Zion Brown, where it's a collection of 3 short horror stories or archives, however you really want to call it, all put into one single game, which is a concept I really do enjoy in certain games, if done right, where it allows an expansion on multiple different stories, either connected in some way or completely different from each other. Now, as of making this video, this game is still in a demo state, so there's obviously a lot of things probably going to be improved on and changed once the full game does release, but so far this is what we have in the case that things end up changing or updating in the future. First impressions I had when starting the game was that it came off like one of those Five Nights at Freddy's minigames you'd encounter. That, well, it sort of just retains those similar details. It could also just remind you of one of those other classic retro pixel games from the 80s and 90s because, let's be honest, not everything you see originated from FNAF. Though those FNAF minigames may have helped make that style of retro minigames things, I don't know what to call them, that kind of style more iconic to the modern generation. Yeah, I don't know. I just like the style, okay? So far, we're only able to access 2 of the 3 archives at this point in the demo, of which are labeled as Hail to the Jester and Coming Home. I'm going to be going through these in order, obviously, so the first archive I'll be doing is Hail to the Jester. With nowhere to run or hide, Wilson must play a game of life or death against a monster that punishes past transgression. I should lay low for the time being. Just another grand and I'm out of this dumpster fire. So he's making money. The calendar has been smudged due to water damage, but very faintly the date could be made out. 22 to 2000 something. So February 22nd, 20 something. Okay. Expensive but worth it. Chair. In other news, today sadly marks 7 years since Haley Sullivan, who was 6 years old at the time, went missing in the St. Roosevelt Hospital. Yes, it is believed by investigators she was kidnapped by the same individuals who took her mother and distant relatives hostage for ransom in a recent interview. Okay. That was a close one. A foolish gamble to make, but at least it paid off. 600,000 euros, 10 foil watches, and a weird-looking plush. I don't remember bringing this thing along. Must have brought it with me in a panic. Maybe I'll give it to Finch's kids when they come over tomorrow. Wilson has a really troubled past and has had a long history of committing a lot of not so great things, just a lot of crimes, and has built up a sizable criminal record in his youth and even to this day it seems. And he's a very troubled individual now, having to face the consequences of his actions through this Jester plush animatronic thing. Oh shit. Oh, hi. You are huge. Now, this Jester is here to punish him for his past actions, like I mentioned prior, only by forcing him to go through hell and back, because what other better way to torture someone for their sins than by forcing them to complete games for a chance at getting out of the hell he's in. And it's pretty much an ongoing loop. If Wilson dies, he has to do the whole game all over again, just for a chance for Wilson to earn his freedom from the Jester's hands. Though we really don't get to encounter the full scope of these games, as again, the game is currently in a demo state, so we only really get to get a small taste of what's expected. I also do like that it builds up to the second minigame, only for the demo to end as soon as you enter it, which I find to be a little amusing because, it builds up all that tension for the next part, only for it to end there, which leaves you a bit both disappointed that it's over, but also excited at the same time for what's going to come next. And now comes the next archive, labeled as Coming Home, but instead of getting us right into the story like before, we actually have to complete a minigame first, and this minigame is having to avoid cars from various different directions and try to survive for as long as possible, which is a really tedious process, alongside being an interesting way to start the story, and it kind of reminds me of something. What am I doing? What is my task? Hey, buddy, what's up? It sure took you long enough. How long were you going to keep an old man waiting before he freezes to death? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I forgot how easy it can be to get lost in this town. Not to mention, I may have also needed up to pay a long-awaited visit to a friend on the way here. Well, regardless, I'm so happy to see you. It's been 5 years. Julia and Artha sprinted around the house like madmen, preparing for the princess's return, as they put it. Haha, how sweet. You just missed them, actually. By 20 minutes, the Duffy brothers and Miss Linda are out with them on a shopping spree. I hope they're doing good. Overboard. I hope they don't go overboard. A simple welcome home is good enough. In a way, yes and no. Half of the food in the pantry mysteriously spoiled overnight. That's odd. To be honest, this past year's been odd. This is just something new added to the list. A mold specialist will be coming out Tuesday. Anyway, Nathan will be coming out very shortly to collect your belongings. Tell him there's no need, I got it. Haha, just like your mother. Well then, I'll leave you to it. Once you settle in, come and see me in the basement. There's something I want to give you. Sure. I'm so sorry if I'm messing up dialogue. I'm not good at reading. Oh, the girl we play as is known as Yvonne, and she is a college graduate having returned home after 5 years of being away, seeking to start a new life and try to reconnect with her family and friends back home, a stark contrast compared to the first archive story. Now, speaking of the first archive, we actually do get a callback to it, as we end up finding the Jester from the first archive just sitting in front of the clock tower, where it is revealed to us that this is actually one of Yvonne's old plushies from when she was a child, which is a neat little detail and something that could be maybe expanded upon more in the full game once it releases. Throughout this story, though, it is mentioned that there was an event that occurred where something had happened to Yvonne's mother. Though it's not widely explained, but we do get the idea that she's no longer on this mortal realm, if that makes sense. And after getting through the day and heading to bed, Yvonne is suddenly awoken by a noise in the house, and after stepping outside of her room, the scenery then takes a sudden change, as we appear to get a flashback of Yvonne back when she was a child, who hears music coming from the basement, and as she makes her way down and finds the light emanating from one of the rooms, the demo ends as soon as we enter it. So, similar to what the first archive did. But with that being said though, that's really about it for all the archives we have so far. Again, we can access Archive 3 as it seems to still be in development at this moment, so I guess we'll have to wait and see until the full game does release or there's some sort of update to the demo. Who knows? In regards to how I feel about the game, I think it's alright. I thought it was a pretty good game so far. There are some things that I do think need to be worked on and fixed up, like sound balancing, especially with the character dialogue, because dialogue was just so incredibly loud and blaring in my ears. Oh shit, it's the guy. Even when I had the sound turned down at the beginning of the game, so I definitely do feel like that needs to be managed in the future, alongside some of the difficulty of the minigames as well. Even if I was able to complete these minigames after a couple of tries, it was a little more difficult than necessary. So maybe easing it up just a hair would be good, especially for newer players who might struggle more on those kinds of games. Besides those minor issues though, I didn't notice any other bugs that could be addressed, though I could be oblivious to those kinds of things because I am pretty oblivious when it comes to bugs unless they're right in front of my face. So if there are other bugs out there that I missed, please do notify the dev of them if you can. I think the few minigames we got in these archives were good. They definitely were very engaging and kept you alert, alongside the stories being told as well. I really do like that they have the perspectives from different characters, where the first one goes over a guy who's a criminal and just downright an awful dude, having to now pay for his actions and be tortured via the Jester character, making him play all these different games just to at least have a chance at leaving. Whereas the second archive is a lot more lighthearted and is just a girl coming home to her family after being gone for 5 years, with some hints that something terrible might have happened to her mom, but it's never really touched upon just yet as we begin to build up the story through the girl's memories. Also, neat little detail I noticed while playing through the game was that the game's title menu changes up randomly as well, and I'm not sure if that was because it was caused by some things I might have done in game, or just it's just something that happens in general, but I find it to be a neat little detail. Overall though, I thought the game was alright. I thought it was a pretty good concept, and I can't wait to see what else is coming. So thank you, Zion, for sharing and recommending your game to me. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to see the final product once it fully comes out, so keep up the good work. With that being said though, I think that's about it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, liking, and even commenting if you enjoyed the video. Every bit of support really does help, and I'm greatly appreciative of the support you guys provide for me. Thank you guys so much for everything, and I hope you have a great rest of your day or night. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.